Idan asked the question, what do we get out of, or what could we get out of this whole Chanukah business? Is that correct? So besides the extra calories that you get from the sufganiyot, from the donuts, there's a lot to learn. The holidays, Jewish holidays or events altogether, are not just something that you read the halachot of what to do or not to do, or you just look at it from the historical point of view. Everything should be or could be reflected also on your inner self and your own journey throughout life. So Chanukah symbolizes a certain battle, and the battle that was a spiritual battle, a war, a physical war, but on a spiritual issue. And the issue is, are you going to be staying or remaining Jew and practicing Jew? We, as people, face those situations almost daily. What do I mean? There is a danger to the Jewish existence, and people usually refer to the physical danger as the greater and the primary danger, not realizing that the true danger and the ultimate danger is to the spirit of the Jew, not to the physical part of the Jew. If you look at the United States, or you look at other countries in the world, we have lost a lot of Jews since World War II, and we're losing them faster as we go along than we actually lost in wars and so on and so forth. If you look at the Israeli demographics, most of the Israelis are not practicing any form of Judaism, and very few know basic Jewish history. The story of Chanukah teaches us, first of all, to acknowledge that and to teach us the ability that we have as people to come up with bravery, to put yourself in place of discomfort and sometimes even danger for something that would stay for a long time in terms of generations. That's the Jewish spirit and Judaism per se. Now, those people were what? They were farmers. They live in the village of Modi'in. Matityahu was a priest. His family were Kohanim. They will go to Beit HaMikdash, and they would, perform their duties in the Beit HaMikdash, and then they come back. Most of the people were farmers. And look, they were able to become great military leaders because the initiative they were willing to do, they would put themselves on the line for the sake of the people, for the sake of Judaism, for the sake of the Torah. You're no different than them. Somewhere deep down inside of you, we all possess this ability to really become the leaders and to have the fight for Judaism, for the future of Am Yisrael as a Jewish nation, not as a bunch of atheists or not even that. Now, who were they fighting? Well, we all know that they were fighting what we call the Greeks, but it's not really the Greeks, they were the Assyrians, but ultimately, if you look very carefully, the greatest battles of the Hashmonaim were not necessarily, yes, we know the military campaigns that they had, this place or the other place, and so on and so forth. But the greatest battle that the Hashmonaim faced was against the Jews who adopted the Greek, and that's what we call it Greek, the Greek mentality, culture, way of life. Those Jews who abandoned Judaism and became Greek. In Hebrew we call them mityavnim. So if they would call mityavnim at the time, today we call them secular Jews. And you see, for example, it's interesting to me that right now in Israel, we have somewhat of a battle like this, again, because of the new elections that they had in Israel. There's a whole turmoil in Israel. Now there's 1,000 Israelis that are making a whole campaign to leave Israel because the religious people are in the country. I didn't see anybody doing that when the Arabs were that. They gave them billions of shekels to the Arabs, which were terror supporters. But people are willing to leave Israel just because the religious parties. Why? Because they are saying, even secular Jewish kids should learn Gemara. They want to take anything Jewish out of the Jewish state. And that's why it's not such a Jewish state anymore. Those battles that happened then still exist within us today. The division of the Jewish nation today in Israel is like the division of the Jewish nation at the time of the Second Temple. The separation of the Jews in outside of Israel, in exile, and their disconnect between the brothers who live in Israel is the same thing then of the Jews in Babylonia to the Jews who live in Israel, and today the Jews who live in America to the Jews who live in Israel. It's the same thing. I'll tell you something. If you read Josephus Flavius, one of the things that the Romans were concerned about, and they actually put road blockades on the way from Babylonia, around Syria. So they were afraid that the Jews of Babylonia, which were at the time few millions, will come out and rise up to fight against the Romans. But now Romans will they will kind of sandwich between the Jews of Babylonia coming like this and the Jews of Israel pushing from here. The Romans will be in the middle. They did not have the force for that. They tried to do, but then they realized that they're not interested in that. They didn't do anything, and they just said, okay, they're not going to fight. How many American Jews today, if God forbid something happens in Israel, or anywhere else in the world, will rise up to the occasion and will say, you know what? I'm here for my brothers. We saw it during the campaigns in Gaza when they had all this stuff, where Israel was bombarded with, tens of thousands of missiles, and you had Jews demonstrating against Israel, in college campuses. The battle is not the battle of, a goy calls you a dirty Jew or something. That's something to deal with. But you realize that the glory of Judaism, when it goes down by the Jews, it also goes down by the goyim. So I view the rise in anti-Semitism as, in a way to awaken the Jews to Judaism, and therefore it goes hand in hand. Each and every one of us should see himself as a Hashmonai, as Yehuda Maccabi, as Elazar, that gave his life under the elephant. And today it will be crazy. You have some Israelis that says, oh, that was just a story. It didn't happen. I mean, they'll do anything that they can to minimize the Jewish identity and to create a new Israeli identity. And if they're going to go like this, there's no future for the state of Israel. There's no future. But don't think that there will be a future for you. Your future will be dependent on how much Jewish awareness you will arise within yourself and how much of this Jewish awareness you'll be able to spread out to other people around you. In this great darkness, each one of us is a small light, a small candle that's supposed to make that darkness go away. The darkness is not necessarily physical darkness. The darkness in which I'm talking about is the spiritual darkness that Jewish people are experiencing now. They're more interested in building, those who will keep Torah mitzvah, are more interested in building big buildings instead of filling it up with people. So you have neighborhoods like here that they're building one multi-million-dollar building after the other for shuls, but meanwhile nobody's coming to the shuls. And if it is, it's artificial. There's no grassroots movement to awaken Judaism, even if it was how it was during the 70s with the hippies, the remnants of the hippies and so on. Even that does not happen anymore. We are slowly going into a spiritual cardiac arrest, both in America and in Israel. And that's not good. So what you're taking from Chanukah? You're taking is that b'makom she'en ish, heyeh ish. When nobody is a man enough to do it, you'll be the man to do it. Even if you're the last man standing, even though it's hard, get off your comfort zone. Don't be lazy. Do something for your people. Do something for Am Yisrael. Do something for the Torah. Have a great day.